Okay, so I haven't sussed out how to capture my screen yet to give you a really nice clean view. So I'm hoping that the angle on this isn't too bad. I can't bring my camera down any lower to get it exact. So this is an old cross stitch that I done many moons ago. Now I've chosen this one because there's not too many colour changes in it, but it will give us all a good practice piece to work from. So when choosing your piece, at the moment I would suggest that you don't go too big, as each one of these squares will represent a square on your blanket. Now what I will do is I will place a measurement in a moment onto the left hand side of the screen that tells you how big each corresponding square would be with different yarns. I hope. I can at least do it with a DK. Right, so let's get on with working out this pattern. What you want to do is you take your image and you give yourself a minimum of 2 squares on the left, right, top and bottom, because the last thing you want to do is sort of muck it up. So what I've done here is I've squared this one off, and to find my start square I come down the left hand side and along the bottom, and this one here I've marked is my very first square. Now I'm going to change out to a different colour because I don't like the black for the second. Right. So this one here is my very first square. Now for my first square is my first row. Now on every even row you will be coming down your work, and every odd you're going up your work. So for row 1 you have 1 white square, for row 2 you have 2 white squares, 3 would be 3 white squares, and 4 is 4 white squares. Now for row 5 it's 5 white squares, and for row 6 it is 6 white squares. Sorry, I did a bit of cheating there because otherwise this video would be very long. So row 7 is 7 white squares, eight is the same, is 8 white squares. Now row 9 is our change row. I'm just going to swap the colour for a second so you know. Okay, but so for this one we are working up the pattern, so we would have 2 white ones, 2 saffron, and 5 white ones. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to move on to actually making the pattern alongside you, and on the left hand side of your screen there will be the amount of boxes of each colour. Let's get on with making our project. So for this project I've chosen to work with the Stylecraft Special DK. Now I've chosen this because it's the one I have the most amount of variations of colours in that will work for this project, and I want to make sure that they are all exactly the same thickness. Right, so I have it in white. You're going to need a small amount of black. I've also chosen the colourway Saffron, Pale Rose, and for the cherry on the top of the cake we have got Bright Pink. Now the details of this yarn are that it is 100% premium acrylic. There's approximately 295 metres or 322 yards. You can wash it at 40, cool tumble dry, cool iron, and it states to use a 4mm hook. Now for this pattern I would suggest that you would go down a hook size, so I'm actually going to be using a 3.5mm hook, and I'm also at quite a tight crochet as well. You'll need your chosen hook. I'm using 3.5. You will need a handful of stitch markers and a half decent pair of scissors. Let's get on with the project. Quick tip to work out whether you're working on the front or the back of your work. When you're about to work down onto an even section, place a stitch marker into your first square, like that, and then every time you see that this is on the front, you know that you're about to work an even round. Now another tip, with another stitch marker, every time you do 5 rounds, pop it into the corner of your 5th square. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That way you've got a quick method of counting up your squares rather than having to count them every time you check your pattern, which is what I had to do when I first started. It drove me insane. Now for some of the patterns that I've seen, they say to you to chain up 6. Now I found by chaining up 6 you get a looser square, which is perfectly fine if you're doing block colour like the sample that is behind us, but for this project I prefer to chain up 5. Right, so let's get started. First of all, we will make a slip knot in our yarn. Make sure you give yourself a decent amount of spare yarn to sew in as your end. Now we are going to chain up 5. Now into your 3rd chain from the hook or 3rd chain from the knot, we will place a double crochet. Now into your next chain spot we will place another double crochet, and in your last chain spot we will place your 3rd double crochet. Now that's your first square done. So your first square consists of your chain 2 and then 3 double crochet. Now to move up to the next level we will be increasing again. So chain 5, in your 3rd chain from the hook place a double crochet, and then into the chain place double crochet, and then in your last chain place your 3rd double crochet. Now it looks a bit strange for the moment, but don't worry, our next step fixes that. We turn this one over and into the chain 2 space we will place a slip stitch. There we go. Now we will chain up 2 and into the same place we will stick another 3 double crochet. go. So now for row 3, we will chain 5, place your double crochet into the 3rd chain from your hook, your next double crochet into the next slip stitch, and your 3rd into the last slip stitch. Oh, there we go. And then again we turn the work and we place a slip stitch into the chain 2 spot in the corresponding box. Just like that. Now chain 2, and place your 3 double crochets into the same chain 2 space. Then find your chain 2 space. Oh, that's not it. There we go. Find your chain 2 space on your square to the left, slip stitch in, chain 2, and place in your 3 double crochet. There you go. So now we're going to chain 5 again. And now we're going to work on our square for row 4. So that is a double crochet into your chain 3 from your hook, and your 2nd double crochet into the next chain, and your 3rd double crochet into the last chain there. There we go. Now flip your work, find your chain 2 space and pop your slip stitch in. Now again we do our chain 2 and our 3 double crochets into that chain 2 spot. Pop over to your chain 2 space, slip stitch in. Right, so I'm hoping you've got the pattern now down to pat for your squares, which are chain 2, 3 double crochet, and then a slip stitch into the next. And then it's just a case of getting the pattern in your head for the increase on the edge. So I'll run that through with you one more time. Here's a chain 5, double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook, turn your work and place your slip stitch into the chain 2 spot. There we go, and then we carry on the row. Okay, so I'm going to leave you to get on with row 5 and I will meet you at the end. Right, so we're on to row 6. For that we need to chain up 5. And again we're going to place that double crochet into the third chain from the hook. And then our next double crochet into the next chain along. And our last double crochet into that last chain. Now we're going to flip your work and pop your slip stitch into your chain 2 spot. Right, so I'm going to leave you to carry on with row 6. If you then repeat it for row 7 and row 8, and I will meet you at the end of row 8. Right, so I'm back with you for row 9. Now with row 9 we will actually be putting in our first colour change, but that will not be until block 3. So let's get number 1 out of the way and number 2 out of the way. Now when you come to the end of your third double crochet in your second block, that's where we're going to stop, because this is where we're changing the colour. So what you want to do is make yourself a slip knot, give yourself a reasonable end to be able to sew in or work over, depending on how you feel. So we finish off the stitch using your new colour. Now to join this to your next block, you want to ensure that you are working over both of your tail yarn and the white yarn that you was using. So you come over, you slip stitch into your chain and then give the ends a little gentle persuasion, not too much. Then we'll pick up our working yarn, which is your saffron, chain 2, and at this point you can carry on working over both yarns, as I'm going to do for these 2 blocks that we're going to be doing. Right, at this point I will now be dropping down the saffron. That saved me a little bit of sewing, and I'm going up to my next block. Again I'm going to work over the white strand and then chain 2 and carry on working over the white strand and your chain 2 space for this block. When you get to the end of the third stitch, stop just there, and at this point we'll give this a gentle tug just to take up any loose thread, and we will be finishing the stitch with the white. Now again, what I like to do is work over the yellow yarn into the next stitch, although I will not be carrying it along. So then I drop my saffron, and I carry on now working by the white by chaining up 2 and doing the rest of the squares in this row. Now we have 5 to do, so I am going to carry on doing those off camera and I'll meet up with you in a moment. Right, so I'm back with you for row 10. I've just completed my first square. Now for this row you will have 5 white squares, 3 saffron and 2 white. So to do that, just crochet along with me and I will show you how to do the change again when we get to the saffron. Right, so I've just come up to the end of my 5th block, marked it up, so now I've just stripped it back a little bit. And there we go. So at this point we will be adding on the saffron again. So what you want to do is pull it across your square, scoop it up and finish your stitch. Keep it quite tight, don't worry too much about the tightness, it will relax a little bit as you work on. What am I doing? So scoop up your stitch, pull it through, now into your chain 2 spot, pop a slip stitch as normal, making sure that you pick up both the chain 2 and your yellow, your saffron that you were using. Now chain 2 and work your square as normal, and we will carry on working down until we have got 3 saffron squares. And we will be changing back to white on your last double crochet stitch in this square. So remember, we stop here and now we pick up our yarn and place it on the hook. Now I am actually now going to be running 2 balls of white yarn, one for the left hand side of the work and one for the right hand side of the work. It saves you having to carry it backwards and forwards, and as the area gets bigger there is more chance that the colour that you're carrying will show. So let's add on the white. And remember, give yourself enough of a tail so that when you sew in there isn't an issue. Right, so now we will be slip stitching into the chain 2 space, and also slip stitching over the top of the saffron. Now take your working yarn, you can drop your saffron down, take your working yarn, chain 2 and finish your square as normal. Slip into your last square, chain 2 and finish the square as normal. There we go, that's how your work will hopefully be looking right now. Now remember, you've added the tail in here, so don't worry about it looking a little bit untidy. We can correct that when we're sewing in our end. And it is the back of the work. So I hope you've got to grips with the colour changes as well as how to make the square. Now as you've noticed, on that side of the screen I've been writing the square counts, so I hope you sort of muddled through it and worked out what the different symbols were, because that is crazy speak. Basically it's my shorthand and I'm not 100% sure if I'm getting it right at all, but I'm giving it a go. Right, so I'll just give you a quick talk through. For the white colour, or your background colour, the code is WB. That stands for white box. So for your saffron, the code is SB. Saffron box. Then you've got some new ones coming up shortly. One will be LPB. That's like pink box. And then you've got BPB. Bright pink box. And then you've also got BB. That's right, black box. So that's what I'll be putting up in the descriptions, along with the number by the side of it is how many of each individual box colours you need to do. So I really hope that helps, because from this point on I'm not going to stitch along with you. I'm just going to do a short, sharp, how many stitches you need for each row, along with the work completed in front of you, so you can see what it will look like when you get to the end. Right, here we are. Here is row 11. So for row 11 you are working up your work. So you'll place 2 white, 5 saffron and 4 more white. Here's your instructions. Right, so here we are. We are now on row 12. So for row 12 you are working down your work. And as you've noticed, we're adding in the pink. Now I had an issue with the pink, although it is DK Stylecraft and everything else. I believe it's an older batch, or there might have been a slight issue with the batch, because this one is extremely thin compared to the others. I don't know if you can see that. I'll just try and bring some up for you. There you go, you see what I mean? It's come up super thin. So I'm actually going to be doubling it up. I'm hoping it won't throw the size of the project out too much, but what it will do is give me a fluffier ice cream top. So your stitch count for this row is 2 white, 2 pale pink, 6 saffron and 2 more white. Okay. Right, so back with a row 13. Now for this row we are adding 1 square of black. I've also doubled up on this one as well, just to give it a bit more of a pop out. So as you're working up your yellow and then you add in your black, carry your yellow working yarn up the project like you've done in previous rows. Your stitch count for this row is 2 white, 3 saffron, 1 black, 2 saffron, 3 light pink and 2 white. Okay, so back with row 14. This is a really nice simple row, not too much fussing. So your box count for this row is 2 white, 4 light pink, 6 saffron and 2 white. Right, so here we are for row 15. Now for row 15 we were working up the work, and you will be placing in 2 white, 6 saffron, 4 pale pink and 3 white. Right, so here we are for row 16. Now with row 16 we are working down your work again. You'll be placing 3 white squares, 5 light pink, 6 saffron and 2 white. Right, now my table's starting to run out of room for the camera difference, so I'm going to have to start turning the work sideways shortly. I think I've got another row, maybe 2 left before I run out of room. Right, so let's talk you through row 17. Okay, so for row 17 we are working up the work. You will be placing 2 white boxes, 6 saffron boxes, 5 light pink and 4 white. So for row 18 we are working down our work. You'll be doing 4 white boxes, 6 light pink boxes, 5 saffron boxes and 3 white ones. Now don't worry when you get to here, this is not a mistake. We are now starting to mirror this side. Okay, so we're back for row 19. For row 19 we worked up the work. So our square count is going to be 3 white, 2 saffron, 1 black, 2 saffron, 7 light pink and 4 white. Right, so I'm back with you for row 20. For row 20 we're working down our work. Right, so our stitch count is 5 white boxes, 7 light pink boxes, 4 saffron boxes and 4 white boxes. Right, back with you for the end of row 21. Now this is our last decrease round. So for this round we will be doing 5 white, 3 saffron, 8 light pink and 5 white. So our stitch count for this row is 6 white, 8 light pink, 2 saffron and 5 white. Not 6, just the 5. I'll see you at the end. Quick tip for row 23. Place a stitch marker in the top section of your last square. This way you won't work into it like I do, because you'll only have to unpick it again. Right, so let's get on. Okay, so to start on row 23 you'll have already placed your slip stitch joining your 2 blocks. Now we turn our work, and into each of these gaps here we will be placing a slip stitch. So that should be 3 slip stitches. Now you're going to chain 2, and if you tilt your work a little bit more you're going to see you've got your chain 2 space here where you'll be placing your 3 double crochet for your first square. Once you've done that, work your pattern as it's written to the side, and I'll see you for the last square at the bottom. Here's your stitch count for row 23. We're working up the work, and you'll be doing 4 white, 2 saffron, 8 light pink and then 6 white. Only 6, not 7. That's why we've put the stitch marker in the end here. Right, pause me now and meet me back here in a moment. Now this is the reason why I say pop your stitch marker in your last stitch, like in your last block, because I've done it before now where I've joined, I've gone up and then I have to undo it, or sometimes I've got so carried away I've actually gone up and somehow managed to start going down the sides. Don't ask, even I don't know how I managed that one. Right, so with this we're just going to join them with a slip stitch again like we've done previously. You're going to tilt your work, and now onto your next row. Okay, so our block count for row 24, which we were working downwards, is 6 white, 8 light pink, your last, that's right, last saffron, and then 4 white. So once you get to the end of it, celebrate the fact that the saffron is going, and give yourself a nice amount to sew in and chop it off. So long, saffron. Row 25. Right, this row we are adding in our new colour, which is the bright pink. The code lettering for that is going to be BPB. That's the bit in the brackets. Right, so our work is going from bottom to top. Our counts for this one are 4 white, 7 light pinks, 2 of the bright pink. Honestly, it's bright pink, although this looks red in this light, it is bright pink. And then we've got the 5 white at the end. Right, so we are on row 26. We are working down our work, and our block counts are 4 whites, 3 bright red, 7 pale pinks, and 3 whites. Okay, so row 27. Our block counts are 3 white, 6 light pink, 4 bright pink, and 3 white. Back for row 28. This row we're working down your work, and your box count for this one is 3 white, 3 red, 7 light pink, and 2 white. Right, so here's row 29. For row 29 we were working up your project, and we have 2 white, 6 light pink, 4 bright pink, and 2 white. Right, we are on to row 30. Now with row 30, you've got this extra little white square. So for the box count for this one, it is 2 white, 3 red, the 1 white, 5 light pink, and 2 white. For row 31, you're working up your work. You'll do 4 white, 2 light pink, 2 white, 2 red, and 2 white. Okay, so here we are finally at row 32. Now 32 is solely white. From this point on, every row we're doing is white. So you can get away with cutting all your yarn off of the balls now, and just leaving yourself enough to sew in. So what I'm going to do is leave you here to just say work from 32 to 39, I believe, will be your last square, and I will come back and see you in a moment. Right, so I'm back with you for the very last stitch on the very last square. Now what I do is I'll turn my work, and then I run the last 3 slip stitches on the side of the project. Now I'll chain over, make 2 chains, fill up my yarn, give myself enough for sewing in, and I take my yarn and I put my fingernails on the top of the knot, and I scooch it down, pull it nice and tight, and that's all done. And yes, Courtney, I've nicked your word. Right, and your tip. So we've got 2 options on how to sew the mouth. The first one's a bit more complicated than the second, because with the first one you are just going to be sewing it so it can be seen on the front but not on the back, which means if you've got a blanket and you want to leave it so that it's reversible, you can give it 2 different cheeky faces and 2 different cheeky smiles. So for this one I've attached my yarn to my needle, and then I've placed a little knot in the end, and I've scooted that up to near the needle, so that way I can take that knot with me when I've finished rather than having it somewhere in the smile. Now if you look, I've come 2 squares along from the black eye on the right hand side, and I've just tucked it under the corner top stitches. then threaded it through on itself. Now my next one will be coming to the bottom corner here, where I'm just picking up the 2 stitches here. Again, they're the 2 corner ones. Just give it a wiggle because of the knot. There we go. I'll pull it through. Now I'm going to tuck over it and go through that one again so that it gets rid of the yellow gap. There we go, just like that. Then we come across one square and pick up the same 2 stitches again, pull it through, try and get it so that your yarn's laying nice and flat, then tuck it back under the same 2 stitches, pull through again. Oh, stupid knot, give me a second. Sometimes it needs just a little wiggle. There we go. There we go, so they're laying flat again. And then for your last one, we will be going back up on the diagonal and picking up the stitch there. Pull through. And I really hadn't thought this through. Got a cute little section here and I don't quite know how I'm going to do this one. There we go. So we'll just guess it. Pull through. There we go. So now it's a case of tucking the yarn under and then pulling it up through the black to tie it off. Let's hope I can do it and hide it well. Okay, I'm not going to be able to because I'm rubbish at it and I'm impatient and I want to get the video done so I can go to bed. But I'm just going to pull it through here, so there you go, it doesn't show too bad. And then I'm going to sew in the end. I'm actually going to cheat now. I'm cutting off that knot, it's doing my head in. There we go. Yeah, so then I'm going to sew in my end, sew in all the others, and this cheeky little person, or little cupcake I should say, is done. Okay, so here is option 2. This is the one I call the no fuss face. That took me a little while to do, to say. Right, so with this one, you are literally going to be weaving, so you're going to come up in the corner of the first square to the left hand side of your right hand eye. You're going to scoot down, and don't pull all your yarn through because you're going to need that to tie in later. You're going to scoot down on the diagonal, scoot back up on the other corner of the same square. Pull that through, let them sit quite flat. I'll sort that in a minute. Then you are going to go onto the diagonal and sew through that gap. Okay, Now this one I find makes it looks a bit neater because you can sort of wiggle it around and play with the tension really. So then we're just going to fill this section in here, so coming from the back, oops sorry, let's do it so you can see. Coming from the back, you come in through the same stitch there, pull up your yarn, go diagonally across to the bottom of this one, poke it through, and that there is your smiley face. So as I said, that way is a lot easier than the first method, and it also means that you'll end up with the same smile on both sides. It's just a case of fastening off your yarn on the other side extremely close, or if you're not too worried because you're using this project for something else other than blankets and you know that the back's not going to be seen, hey, just tie a knot and leave it. Right, I'm going to head off now. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please, if you could give me a thumbs up and a little comment. If you've got any tips or anything that you think I might have missed, because a lot of videoing that I've done today and yesterday has actually ended up on the floor or in the delete bin. So I may have missed a couple of tips that I thought I'd given you. So if that's the case, pop them in the comment and I will copy them and pop them into the description box so that everybody else can read them as well, and I'll even pop your name in there saying that you've done it, and so you're helping me out. Right, as I said, I'm going to head off now. I hope you enjoyed it and I will see you all soon. So at the moment it's still a case of staying in to stay safe. Alright, so don't go too crazy, and if you do, come back and visit this one. I'll see you all soon. Ta-ra for now. My family are playing ball with the dog in the lounge, which is the room directly below this one. Let's hope this doesn't pick up any squeaking. Nope, we're okay. The block count's not off. I was just reading the wrong line of the pattern. Right, so our block count is 6 white, followed by 7 light pinks. No, oh God, I've done it again, gang. Give me a minute. I've got an issue. She won't get off my lap. How am I meant to crochet when she keeps eating the yarn? Hey, Pippi, are you going to get off yet? No? Okay. Let's lift you up so everyone can be nosy and say hello. Oopla. There she is, my giant fur ball. What are you doing, Pippi? Are you watching yourself on the screen? Oh, you are such a poser. That way, that way. There you are. Right, down you go. Alright, let's get back to work. See you in a bit.